When I first started teaching, rote was a 4-letter word. Wait, it's still a 4-letter word, but there was a lot of negative connotation around rote teaching. And the more I teach, the more I use rote learning in the classroom. And I think it's great because there's a lot of things that we can teach that are much faster through rote than through other methods. You know, I doubt you learned the alphabet from a textbook. I bet you learned it to Mozart's Twinkle Star and you sang it and that's how you learn the alphabet. Well, there's a lot of things that we can learn through rote much more quickly than we can out of a book. And there are some bow exercises that I think fall really well into this category, and I use them not every day, but at the high school level, at the beginning level for sure every day. But as they go up, I sort of only use them as accountability and troubleshooting tools and not necessarily as daily repetitious exercises. And the other great thing about rote teaching is that it gets your students to watch you. And so when you're conducting on the podium, you've got all these eyes on you now because they're used to getting information from you instead of out of a book or out of a sheet music or something like that. So instead they're looking up at you and you've got that communication going on in your ensemble. So for these bowing exercises, I like to start with a pencil, and it's safer in the classroom, it's lighter, it's easy for them to manipulate and manage at first. You're less likely to poke somebody with your pencil than you are with your bow if you're not paying attention. And some kids haven't really developed a lot of coordination again, and so it just makes your classroom safer to use a pencil. And the other thing that I like about using pencil exercises is that when we go into rehearsal, they already have their pencil out and they're ready to go. I like my students to use mechanical pencils for a couple reasons. One, it has this really cool clip at the end of it, which kind of simulates the frog a little bit so they can kind of feel that spot where their thumb's going to go eventually. And I also like it because, you just click and you're ready to go. You don't have students running up to the pencil sharpener when it's a critical time in rehearsal to be marking in an accidental or something like that. And when I go do a region orchestra clinic or something along those lines, I make sure that everybody in the orchestra has a mechanical pencil. I just buy a box of mechanical pencils and I pass them out at the very beginning of the clinic, make sure everybody's got one of these ready to go. So one of the bow exercises that I really like to use are the windshield wipers. And I like the windshield wipers because it encourages that downward force here that they're going to need later to be able to apply grip to the string. And it also gets them to have a different perspective on their bow hold so that they can see what's going on from the bottom angle and from the top angle and in between. So as they come down here, which eventually will end up generating a lot of torque and power onto the string, they can check their pinky, make sure their pinky's in the right spot. Okay, that's the culprit. Sometimes we'll have violinists doing this type of thing. Sometimes we'll have cello bass players doing this type of thing where they extend the pinky out, particularly at the tip. And we just want to make sure that the pinky's in the proper position, either relaxed for the cello bass or just right, comfortably on top for a violin viola. When we rotate back, we're going to be checking the thumb and make sure the thumb is nice and curved. This flat thumb thing is going to be taking that great weight that we want off of the string, and that's going to be really harmful for our tone. So we're going to make sure that our thumb is nice and bent. We're going to make sure that our pinky's in the right spot. Now there's a lot of different types of bow holds out there, and on occasion you're going to get a student who has a private lesson teacher that teaches a different bow hold than what you teach. But as long as the bow hold facilitates two things, it's okay to use. Number one, the bow hold has to facilitate flexibility of the joints. As long as all of the joints aren't locked and they're flexible, that's okay. The problem with the bent thumb is that it locks this part of the wrist, and every student that plays like this with the thumb out here does not use their wrist. It's not by accident, it's because it creates the tension here so that the students can't move their wrist like they should. So they have to bend the thumb so that they can start getting the wrist to move. And then the pinky, unfortunately, creates tension the other side of the hand. And so again, like as we move towards the outer part of the bow, that pinky starts to press down and take our beautiful weight off of the string again, and it starts to lock this part of the arm so that students tend to use more shoulder. So we want a bow hold that can facilitate flexibility of the joints. We also want a bow hold that can naturally apply weight onto the string. Things that take weight off of the string, like your banana thumb here, or your straight pinky or whatever, it's just going to take away from your tone. It's going to not be good for your sound, so we don't want a bow hold that does that. So when do you use your windshield wipers? At the beginning level, you can use them every day. You can just treat it as one of your daily exercises that you do while you're going around tuning instruments. They can be doing their windshield wiper exercises and some other exercise that we're going to talk about later. Then you get everybody tuned, and then you're ready to do other things. Sort of at the intermediate and advanced levels, you may not want to be doing this every day unless you've just got an orchestra that just really has difficulty with their bow holds, and you really have to make sure that they're being held accountable like that every day. So what you can do is just kind of use it as a troubleshooting method. If the students are starting to lose grip at a certain point, you can just have them freeze. Okay, do a windshield wiper. Let's see what's going on here. If you see the student's bow and the bow starts to slide, okay, freeze. Let's do a windshield wiper. Let's see what's going on with that bow hold. Now, it's important to get the students to freeze in place. And when you say freeze, everybody needs to freeze. Freeze does not mean fix it. Freeze means hold in place where you are and wait for an instruction. Okay, then you give them that instruction, windshield wiper. Okay, they're gonna look and see what's going on. Okay, now fix it. Because it's important for the students to see what they're doing wrong, mentally visualize that, and then learn how to correct it. So the process of pausing, observing, then fixing is going to, in summary, create the habit.